This is from July 2025. The ITA reports that boxer Imam Khataev has been sanctioned with a 2-year period of ineligibility. Then what the hell? I'll look for a follow-up. This was in July. The International Testing Agency, on behalf of the International Boxing Association, reports that Russian boxer Imam Khataev has been sanctioned with a 2-year period of ineligibility for an anti-doping rule violation. Clomiphene. So clomiphene is I'm familiar with what clomiphene is. Some people back in the day they used to call it Clomid. So clomiphene is so guys don't get bitch tits. Basically, it helps the longer outcome of having high estrogen levels in your body as a man is developing breasts. We had a guy on a chat. I'm not going to put him on blast. You guys might remember him. He's a bodybuilder and he's a natural bodybuilder. Natural. Go check on his Instagram. He posts photos of his shirt off and he has bitch tits. So his bitch tits are when the nipples sag. So everything looks all muscular, right? But the nipples sag, right? Because that's from taking junk. So you would take clomiphene or Clomid for a few different things. Bodybuilders would take Clomid and clomiphene for the optic, the aesthetic. So I don't want bitch tits. And fighters who are taking it are trying to level out, basically taking their natural hormone levels to a homeostasis, a sort of natural playing field. So this is what he got popped with. I'm going to try to find, and I only know that because I used to live with a guy in South Carolina who used to make steroids. So when I was 20, I told this story on the stream before. Rest in peace to Nick Thompson. He died. His heart exploded during a strongman event in West Virginia. This is all public record. I was 20. It would have been 2002. I was living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, playing baseball down there for the summer. And I was living with a bunch of savages, baseball players, guys who were just I'm talking like a house of 10 just savages, dude. All from like, some were from Maryland. I was from Ohio. Some were from South Carolina. Some played football at the school. It was their first season. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. I think 2002 was their first season of having NCAA Division I football. One of the boys was making a steroid in our kitchen called Phenoplex. And the way he would make Phenoplex is he had to sign up on a cattle website. So he was a good old country boy from, I think Nick was from Frostburg, Maryland. Look at my memory. Shout out to Adam. Shout out to Nick. Rest in peace to Nick. Adam, hopefully you're still alive. But these fools were so in deep to it that they signed up to a cattle website, like some sort of like a cattle. If you're raising cattle on a farm, you have to sign up for like some organization. That then allows you to then apply for cattle pellets, which is like for feeding and growing the cattle. He signed up for all that. He would get these pellets that were like that big, and then he would put them in the oven, and he would bake them. So they were like that big.
You always wondered why that app didn't exist. Now you can make it. Meet Replit Agent.
This is so fucked up. He would bake these pellets. Now, these pellets they would give to the cattle normally because they were fucking cattle steroids, because the bigger the cattle get, the more you could sell, right? If you actually have fucking cattle. We didn't have fucking cattle. We just had dudes making homemade steroids. And he would bake it, and then when it got to a certain degree, he'd pull it out. And I've always been a nerd for processes. If you guys didn't know, you guys probably like just learning the technique of anything. I was that little kid in class raising my hand, asking questions. The whole class is supposed to go out for recess, and my punk ass was asking questions. You guys hated me. I was that kid in 4th grade. You guys hated because I was always asking the teacher questions about processes. Why are we doing this? But why do we have to do this? Why? That sort of thing. So I'm watching Nick do this. He would bake the pellet where it would get soft, and then he would kind of take this little mallet, and then he would crush it up slightly, and then he would take this oil, and then he would pour the oil on the pellet and put it back in the oven, and he would bake it. And then the oil in the pellet, when he would bring it out, he would take that, and he would drain it through a coffee filter. Breaking Bad's going to come on real quick. Let me finish this story. He would drain that through a coffee filter, and so the pellet and the oil would drip through these little bottles. That was called Phenoplex. And I know about Clomid and Clomiphene because they would also take to that anti-estrogen blockers so they wouldn't get bitch tits. But fast forward 8 years later, Nick Thompson was he was a world's strongest man guy in West Virginia. I hadn't talked to him in years, and he was doing an event. His heart exploded. He died when he was 28. Horrific. But that's how I know that is. Welcome Breaking Bad to the stage.
I just think that's like kind of a ironically universal perfect